Hey, welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm Wood. In this series, we're comparing two accounts that I started at the same time on the same day, and I'm playing the same way with one major difference. One account is free to play, the other has a monthly spending budget of $50. It's day 111. Let's check our progress. Hey, thank you for joining me. It's day 111. I'm glad you're here. We have kind of an orangish, yellowish border around the budget account. I'm starting there today. And then we also have a green border around the free-to-play account, so when I switch back and forth, hopefully it won't be confusing. And then I have a main account that I'm also constantly playing along with these two, and I'll have kind of a reddish border around that if we do go to that. I don't plan on going to that today, but just in case. So day 111 is exciting. We're coming up on Darkelhain. Darkelhain isn't as relevant as she used to be, I think, in the game. When Tormund was a huge, presence in Arena, we had Darkelhain to sort of counteract that, and she was even on some defense teams. But I don't see her very often anymore. She is still a very relevant nuker, and if you need that for your Undead Hordes faction, or if you just don't have that kind of nuking on a team, I think she can be useful in some Doom Tower waves also, and maybe for some bosses. But yeah, it's kind of exciting to be able to be creeping up on day 120, 4 months, and getting her. We've got a 5-star chicken today on both of the accounts, so that's always really nice. It takes a lot of energy to make a 5-star chicken, especially when you're building so many champions. Been a while since I've made a video and given an update, so hopefully I won't leave anything out. But I did want to go over here and show you, I inserted Ninja into the free-to-play clan boss team. This is on Nightmare, and just got a key done, 20.49 million. This was on Spirit Affinity on the clan boss, and so of course Ninja did quite a bit more damage than he maybe normally would on the other affinities. Even with Force Affinity, this is a very comfortable 3-key with Ninja, and I'm not really finished building Ninja. I'll show you. Yeah, you can see Nightmare requires, I think it's 39.17 million for the top chest, and we're almost doing a 2-key on both accounts if the affinity matchup is favorable. If it's not, it's an extremely comfortable 3-key even on any affinity, and I'm getting to the point now where I need to start thinking about speed tuning, making sure that we're covered with ally protection all the time, because I think that's a possible thing to do. I just haven't done it yet. Because we have ally protection on with both Frolny and Taragi the Frog, and we have a lot of healing with Adeline. And so because of that, I think I need to start thinking seriously about doing some speed tuning, and it's just up to this point I didn't really feel like I had the gear to successfully speed tune a team, to that level. But I think we're getting there, and that might get us into being able to do a 4-key on Ultra Nightmare. That's my hope. So we'll see how we do on that. We did drop down to Gold 4 in Classic Arena. Dropped to Gold 4 right before the reset last night happened, and so now I'm just working my way back up to Gold 5. In the budget account, I'm still in Gold 5, that is. Yeah, it's been nice being up in Gold 4, Gold 5. The medals are a lot more valuable, and building your Great Hall, it's so difficult to do when you're down in silver. And so yeah, Gold 4 is really nice. Gold 5 is nice too. There's not that much of a difference between Gold 4 and Gold 5, and you find about a similar number of beatable teams. Anyway, for early game accounts like this anyway. Yeah, so I wanted to, before I got sidetracked, I wanted to show you the Ninja build so far. I did get 1-star blessing on the free-to-play here. I think on the budget, I do have a 1-star blessing on him on the budget account as well. And you can see accessories are not even leveled up all the way yet. I have a crit damage amulet, and we're still not at 100% crit rate. So that's a problem. I just wanted to make sure I had enough accuracy, but he's got plenty of accuracy. So I'm gonna mess with his build a little bit and get him up to 100% crit rate and get the accuracy. The problem with Ninja is just keeping him alive through the fight. But like I said before, I do have double ally protection, so I should be able to stagger that well enough. I just haven't really gone through the process of doing that. So it'll be really helpful to be able to get that done. His speed is probably a little bit fast, and that's another thing. I probably should take off some speed. There is a strategy on Ninja for clan boss tuning, and he usually is around, I think it's 162 to 65, 165 speed, something like that, and gets him speed tuned 1-to-1 with the boss. And then you can cover him better with ally protection if you don't have him too survivable. I don't have him in lifesteal gear. That is probably something I should do. So, you know, I'm going to take a look at builds, and we have that free gear removal item that it's a 3-hour one that we got the other day, and I want to be able to take advantage of that. And I'm trying to plan out some of the builds that I want to change so that I can do all of them, you know, during that time. So Ninja will become a priority for that. It's getting to where Athel is really not as much of a priority anymore. But yeah, one of the strategies that you can do with Ninja is if you can get a good pair of attack percent boots and then get enough speed on all of your items to get him up to that clan boss level, and then you can switch out his boots when you want to use him somewhere else when you need him faster, like in Griffin or, you know, in wave clears and things. He's so useful with that AoE freeze that he has. He can be really useful in a lot of places. And so I really want to be able to focus on using him. Like I said, I don't have any of his accessories maxed out yet. And so his build, you know, could be a lot better for clan boss. Frolny, I'd like to be able to take Frolny out. And with Relentless, he's not ideal. Obviously, that's not ideal in clan boss because when he takes extra turns, he can outrun ally protection and other buffs, things like that. So that's not the most ideal thing for him. And I would like to have maybe a more ideally suited ally protection champion in that clan boss team, and leave Frolny as my main, you know, arena nuker in his base form. In his second form, he's a really good ally protector, and he has a HP balance that he also does, so he can be really good. And then his defense keeps ramping up, you know, really high during a long fight, so he's good for that. But I don't really have him built ideally for that, and if I had a better AoE nuker for arena, then maybe I, you know, would change and maybe specifically build him for that. But you can see on his masteries, I have him with Helm Smasher just because it's better for arena. And Rotos is very good, but I can't really depend on always being able to use Rotos for arena, especially when we start moving into live arena and drafting and everything like that. I don't have an ultimate Death Knight that I can pair with him, and so anyone who has an ultimate Death Knight will easily counter Rotos. But yeah, Rotos has been great almost everywhere in the game, everywhere that I've been able to use him. And I've just mostly been focusing on getting masteries done on a lot of these champions that I've built. So you can see I finished Rotos' masteries. And this is all on the free-to-play. I'll go over and show you on the budget too. But I'm working on masteries on Miscreated Monster and on Coldheart. Right now I'm working on her Tier 6 mastery. And I've decided to go for Flawless Execution to give her the extra crit damage, just to make it a little more reliable. I know that's not a popular choice sometimes, but it's what I've decided to do with her. Her crit damage, I haven't been able to build a ton of crit damage on a lot of my champions. And so, yeah, you can see she's under 200% crit damage. She needs to be well over that. I do have her at 85% crit rate, which is fine with her because her main ability, the Heartseeker ability, she only needs 70% crit rate. I don't have any of her gear leveled all the way up either, so we still have a ways to go with her. And she needs more accuracy. I don't think I do. Yeah, I do have an accuracy banner on her, but we just haven't been able to build a ton of accuracy on her yet either. So that's something that needs to be done so that she can get that turn meter reduction, 100% turn meter reduction. But I did finish masteries on. You can see on Seer here, even though she's not 6-star, I do have all of her scrolls for her masteries, and also with Padma. I've got Padma's done, and then also High Katoon. So I have quite a few scrolls done. Packmaster Shayak, I'm still working on his masteries, and I think he's going to be important also for Hydra especially. But yeah, so I've just been working on builds, and the news about the Asgardians, I think it's great that we're getting that Asgard divide. And if you didn't see the sneak peek video, I would encourage you to go watch that. Then you'll understand more what I'm talking about here. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think it's going to be fun to have this dungeon that's coming soon. It'll be the Asgard divide. It'll be an event dungeon, and they'll be able to repurpose this every time they have an event like this. And I think it's cool if they could keep doing this, over and over again. Introduce a set of champions and have one of them be the boss for that period of time, whatever that period of time is going to be. And this one, it looks like it's going to be about 2 or 3 months. And the Loki it's a great 7-day login to have Loki. I think he's going to be a good champion, especially if you're early game like these 2 accounts are. I think it's going to be extremely useful, and especially having that 5-star blessing. I've been really pleasantly surprised at how useful Adeline has been for both accounts with that 5-star blessing. That brimstone where you can put it on, and plus Loki's going to be a spirit affinity, and so then we'll have one Force Affinity champion with a 5-star blessing, and we'll have a Spirit Affinity champion with a 5-star blessing, and that makes a huge difference. You want that brimstone, but sometimes if you're weak affinity, it doesn't make the champion ideal. So having some diversity of affinity is really nice to have on every account. And we have been pretty light on Spirit Affinity on both of these accounts, so it's going to come in handy. And Loki's got a good kit. I really like Freya's kit too. If you go look at Freya's kit, she has the 3-turn cooldown full team cleanse with the 2-turn block debuffs, and I think that's a really useful skill to have. Use that all the time. I do on the budget account. I have that on the Cardiel. It may not be as important on the budget account. Just that skill, if we were to pick up a Freya, which I'm not counting on, but yeah, I think Freya is going to be a really good one, because that's really something that everybody needs on their account somewhere. Phantom Shogun especially, you need a champion that has a full team cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown, and then the block debuffs. Really, really useful skill. But yeah, you can see here I've been working on masteries, almost finished with Cardiel on the budget account here. Ninja also, I've got one more mastery to finish. He only needs 20 more scrolls, and then he'll be done. I do have him on the budget account. I do have Ninja in lifesteal, but you can see his accessories aren't leveled up yet. So yeah, and I've only got a 4-star amulet on him, but it is crit damage and it does have accuracy. So, but yeah, he doesn't have as much accuracy as on the free-to-play, and that's because I wasn't able to get a good accuracy banner on him. I didn't have one on Shadowkin. Let me see if I have one. I do have one on Taragi, but that I need that on Taragi. Taragi needs accuracy too. Now there is one here, but it doesn't have any speed, and you can see my ninja speed on the budget account is pretty slow. He's only 177, so I kind of need the speed that he has. So maybe switching out, I do have an attack chest, maybe switching that out to an accuracy chest might be in order. Anyway, the builds need to be massaged a little bit to get them where I want them. But yeah, I've been working on some of the masteries on this account as well. You can see I'm almost finished with Armand's. Did get the accuracy on the tier 6 on him, and his speed, I've got him up to 263, which is pretty respectable, I guess, this early. We're almost 4 months in. I should be able to do better than that. But with 353 accuracy, that's pretty good for where we are in arena right now. And as you can see, I don't have a lot of his artifacts and accessories leveled up either. I was able to get a reaction one. So that's good. The rolls didn't go very well because we got the flat defense rolls, but that's okay. We get what we get. But I've been focusing a lot on Slixus and on Zavia as nukers. It's nice to have some diversity with affinity with your nukers also, and to have some options, that you can use in arena or wave clears and things like that. So Zavia has become pretty important, and also Slixus. I think he's going to be a 6-star pretty soon. And he does hit pretty hard for the level I have him built. Plus I have the 5-star blessing on him. And let's see. Yeah, and I've got him mostly booked out. I can get him one more cooldown. We need one more epic book. I'm just saving my epic books for the next clan versus clan. Yeah, so don't forget, we've got Siege coming up tonight. So we only have a little bit of time for Siege prep left. So keep that in mind. by the time this video goes live, you should have still a few minutes. Yeah, we've got 7 hours left at the time I'm recording this. So by the time I get this out, it'll still be before Siege starts. So if you needed a reminder, that's it. And you can get your Siege teams, your defense teams posted. I still have to post one more defense for each of the accounts on this Siege. And then get your clan quests done. That's the other thing is clan quests are resetting in about the same amount of time. I think it happens pretty close. We're saving skill tomes and everything. I haven't been really participating in too many events. I did do the Dragon tournament that we just finished, and it was just champions from Bannerlords, High Elves, Bannerlords, High Elves, Sacred Order, and Barbarians from the Tolarian League. And that was a pretty easy one to do. So I just decided to go ahead and do it because we had the 3 times on speed. So I went for that one, but just did enough, so that I could, and I did that on both accounts as well. But other than that, I haven't been participating in any events. I'm just trying to save up resources in case we do get one of the Asgardians as a fusion. It looks like it might be Thor because they didn't announce his kit. So I'm thinking maybe that they'll do Thor as the fusion out of this group. It would surprise me if they didn't have one of them available as a fusion. They're coming out with 4 champions at the same time. They're giving one away. I would have thought, but they didn't announce it in the sneak peek video today. So I kind of thought that's what they were going to do. So it surprised me a little, took me back that they didn't announce him as a fusion. So maybe that means they're not going to, but I don't know. I don't know that. I'm just guessing and I'm just speculating like many are. But Thor looks like he's going to be a very powerful nuker, even though we haven't seen his kit. Freya looks, like I said before, Freya looks really good, and I think she's going to be very useful for a lot of players. The shield, the defense-based shield, it's based on both her defense and the max HP of the person of the champion receiving the shield. And so I don't know if that's going to be a huge shield like Valkyrie's shield or not, but it'd be really cool if it was a great big shield. And I think she's going to be a good champion. She has some very useful skills and a really cool passive. The granting an immediate turn is a really cool skill for a defensive based champion. They had something they haven't done yet. The Shu Zhen has that, but that's more of an offensive skill, and this one will be more of a defensive one. I think it'll be interesting to see how that works and what players are able to do with that. And then Odin kind of looks, it's an interesting one. I think people are going to be able to, it's creative, and I think people are going to be able to come up with some fun things to do with Odin. I don't know how many players are going to get an Odin, but I think maybe he's more interesting as a boss than he is as a champion, but I could be totally wrong about that. But it'll be an interesting boss fight, I think, because it looks like they're going to be mixing in champions from other factions that you have to face, sort of like we have to face in Dark Fae, but it won't be our team that's reflected. It'll be, and I don't know if every level is going to be different, but yeah, they're giving him blessings. The higher you go, if you get up to level 30, he'll have a 6-star blessing and it's temporal chains, which is going to make things interesting also. There are certain champions, keep this in mind, there are certain champions in the game that are immune to turn meter effects. So that might be something, strategy-wise, that might be something to remember and think about as you go higher and higher in that boss fight. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It's really disappointing that they're putting in other gear sets that aren't very desirable in that fight. And like I said, if you haven't seen the sneak peek video, you should go watch it. It's worth watching. A lot of the content creators did videos on that sneak peek video, so I didn't really feel like I needed to go over that. But yeah, if you haven't watched it, if you haven't seen any of the other content creator videos on it, I'd encourage you to go watch it. It's interesting, but yeah, they're including gear sets like Daze and crit rate gear set, and just some things that aren't going to be very useful, but the pinpoint gear set is going to be so good. And then we will also have the option of getting accessories. The interesting thing about that is the accessories, none of the other gear sets that they're including in that dungeon have accessories associated with them. So I'm hopeful that any accessories that we get as rewards for that gear dungeon will all be the pinpoint accessories. I don't know how they're going to mix that in yet, but as long as they're not including other accessories and they're only including the pinpoint accessories, it'll still be really good. If they include all the other accessories, from all the factions, but if you were to get just regular accessories from other factions, just like you were running Spider or something, and then just mixed a few pinpoint in, I think that'll be less desirable. But it'd be really nice if all the accessories we get from there are pinpoint. That might seem a little bit too good to be true. So I don't know if they'll do that or not, but we'll see how it goes. We've only got a couple of days before the event starts, and I think that'll be really interesting. I am still on a little bit of a hiatus as far as making the videos. I have been logging into the accounts and then doing all my dailies, but I'm waiting to see, if they're going to have a fusion especially if it's Thor. He looks like he's going to be a really powerful damage dealer as a magic attack champion, and so I'll definitely want to go for that. So I'm still kind of holding on to resources, and I'm also not doing the prism this time. This pool is pretty good, but not nearly as good as the other pools have been. I'm going to move myself out of the way here. If you can see over my shoulder here, the epics, it's a lot less likely to get something good out of this epic pool. Now, this Weregrin is part of the Mikage fusion, so if that appeals to you, that's a pretty decent chance of getting this Weregrin, because there aren't very many epics in this pool. So you have a decent chance of getting the Weregrin. It's just... And Hofrees, I have one of those on both of the accounts. Rain Beast, I really wanted Rain Beast to be good. He's not. He used to be really good in arena and stuff, but yeah, he's not good anymore. Snorting Thug is just kind of okay. The bears, some people like the bears. The black bears, I think, a little better than the polar bear, but they're not great. You're always probably going to have other priorities to build instead of the bears. Ripper's okay. Scabrius can hit kind of hard and he does some poison, but I've never elevated him to the level of a need to build. Taurus is really good. I mean, Taurus can be really useful in a lot of compositions just because of that skill that he has that puts out all the poisons, AoE. And then I like Bovos. I think Bovos is a good champion. Fane is really good for clan boss teams, and Steel Skull is not as useful as he used to be. I think he's still really cool, and he's fast actually too. He's got 104 base speed. That's pretty fast. There's been a lot of power creep in the game, and he's not as useful as he used to be. But so it's not the best pool. And to me, when I looked at this one, I'm probably more likely to get something that I don't want here. So I've kind of decided not to do this one. And then also this Bullet Freewalker, to me, doesn't look like one of the best for the Faction Unity champions. If you're collecting those Faction Unity champions, it's just, you got a pretty decent chance though of getting, if you do get one of the legendaries, you have a 2% chance of getting this one. They've sort of separated him and they've made it so you can only get one of the Faction Unity champions with these prisms. So that's kind of different. And then the Mercy, I'm not even going to talk about the Mercy system that they came up with, because I think it's irrelevant for 99% of players. I don't think, unless you're buying tons and tons of these prisms, if you're buying that many, you'll know. You're probably going to look. You're invested. And if you're not buying prisms, it's irrelevant to you what the Mercy is. So I'm not even going to really talk about it. But these legendaries are good legendaries, especially Sun Wukong. I think Sun Wukong is by far the best, but Ragash is a very good nuker for arena, and Samson is actually sneaky good too. I really like Samson. When you face him in waves in Centranos, he's really annoying. He has constant counterattacks and stuns. So yeah, he's good. And then Razelvarg does crazy damage in Hydra especially, but I've seen compositions for Fire Knight that use Razelvarg. He's a very good champion. And then I think Snick Track is possibly a little underrated. I think he's really good. His reflect damage, I think, is one of the best with the reflect damage. He's, I've had teams kill themselves against his reflect damage before too. So Yeah, I don't know. Gwendolyn, I don't have a Gwendolyn. She was a guaranteed at one point, and also I've seen compositions that use her that are really, really good. She can be a good champion. So it's not a terrible prism pool, but I don't know. I guess I'm maybe wanting to hold back a little bit, and I wanted to wait to see what was going to happen with this Asgard divide before I fed a bunch of energy into a Sand Devil turn attack. I do have, and if you're fairly early game like these two accounts are, the 3,800 points to getting these crystals is not that tough to do. It's about, it's still, you're feeding in probably quite a bit of energy to do that, but if you want one of those Skinwalker champions, it's not a bad one to do. So I wouldn't say avoid it. I'm choosing to hang back on this one and maybe take a break on it. We'll see what happens. I think the dungeon, like I said, is going to be an interesting challenge. I think it's going to be kind of fun to figure out how to beat that. I don't know if it's going to be... I was kind of thinking it might be kind of fun if they randomized, which champions from the game you were facing, so that nobody could come up with an easy solution just to do all of the floors. That you had maybe you would have a different challenge every floor that you faced, and that it was based on chance. But I doubt they'll do that. They'll probably have something a little more structured than that, but it might be kind of fun, almost like a PvE sort of arena fight where maybe it would draft champions from the index somewhere. But I don't know that they're going to do something like that. I just think it might be kind of interesting if they did. And this champ training tournament that has the Sun Wukong, if you win your tournament bracket, you'll get this Sun Wukong skin. I'm not doing this tournament actively. I'm doing some training here and there. We have a couple of days left on this one, and not really sure I'm going to feed very much energy, although I really would like this legendary tome. It's been nice to sort of catch up on some of my champion builds, but we also have this artifact enhancement going, and I would like to do that. I have a lot of artifacts that need to be enhanced, but again, I'm saving resources in case the fusion is the Thor. I really would like to go for that if that's possible. Some of the sneak peek video showed that he's going to be a really hard hitter, I think. I'd like to see some test server footage on all of the Asgardian champions that they're coming out with. I guess with Loki it's going to be kind of irrelevant because we're going to get him whether he's good or not, but I think he's going to be pretty good. You can usually tell with support champions if their kits make it's really more about what their skills are than about how hard they hit. With damage dealers you never know until you see them tested, but with sport champions you can usually tell if they're going to be good, and I think Freya's going to be really good, and I think Loki's going to be good too. I think he's going to be useful, especially for early game accounts, and like I said, with the 5-star blessing it's going to be huge. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really hoping they do Thor as a fusion, but like I said, with the sneak peek video, they didn't announce him as a fusion, and so I don't know. I'm a little more nervous about it now. If they do a different fusion, it would be kind of a letdown, I think. They're coming out with these 4 Asgardians, but then if they did their next fusion is something totally different out of left field, it would be strange, I think. So I'm still holding out hope that that's what's going to happen, and maybe that's why they didn't release the kit for him. But I would have thought they would have announced it, like I said. So, and the other thing I found out just before I go, I wanted to sort of mention this. Armand's really good for Spider if you're climbing in Spider. That AoE turn meter steal with the stun. I don't even have that skill booked yet, and he helped me climb all the way up to 18 for Spider. So I can see once that skill is booked, he's going to be really good for Spider, and it won't make for a fast team because you're stealing the Spiderlings turn meter. The problem with that turn meter steal of the Spiderlings is that once you have the HP burn on them, they don't take they're not taking turns to do a lot of damage to the main Spider. So it's better to just have an AoE stun or an AoE freeze on the Spiderlings. Freeze is preferable in my opinion, but I don't have that available unless I used Ninja and then single target the Spiderlings, which you can do. I wanted something that I could farm, and so that's something I'm thinking about. But just to be able to get through it, and even if it's a slow fight, you can nuke down the Spider slowly over time. It takes a while, but But yeah, the turn meter steal and the stun on the spiderlings is really good. And once that's booked out, you know, the spiderlings would never take a turn. And so that's one way to do it if you're early game and you have an Armands, as we are fortunate enough to have on this budget account. But that's been really fun. I've been doing all kinds of, you know, Doom Tower hard. Before the Doom Tower reset, I was able to get some floors in hard done just because of having Armands. And like I said, not even booked yet. But yeah, having that Armands with the turn meter steal and the AoE stun, it's a huge ability. It's a huge advantage in wave content. So yeah, Doom Tower has been a lot less difficult. It's not as good for bosses, obviously, but he is, you know, he's so useful everywhere. He's sort of a cheat code for a lot of the parts of the game. So it's nice to have one. And then having the Cardiel in this account, he's used everywhere now, except I haven't been using him in Clan Boss yet, but that is something that could be done too, especially speed tuning him with the block debuffs. You could avoid the stun also. Yeah, Cardiel's really good. Yeah, so Armands doing that AoE stun and that turn meter steal is really, really helpful. That control for these Doom Tower waves is huge. But I am working my way up in normal now again. Normal is something I think we can pretty comfortably solve and accomplish on both accounts now. Yeah, unless Armand's weak hits, you know, he does the job. He pretty much controls everything. So that's what I've been working on the 2 experiment accounts. I hope you're well. Thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking with me on this, even though I've had a little bit of a hiatus here. I'll be making some more regular videos after the next couple of days when the Asgard divide, when that really starts. So thank you for your patience through this process that I've gone through over the last week or so. And I hope you're doing well. Hug your loved ones, please. It's important. They need it and you need it. Take care of those who take care of you. I hope everything in your life is good, and if it's not, I hope it gets better soon. Thank you for your kind attention and all other kinds of attention. I've been Wood, and I appreciate you.